What's up, traders? Anthony Crudele here, and welcome to 10-Minute Technicals. In today's video, I'm going to go over my market outlook for E-mini S&P, E-mini Nasdaq, and the RTY, which is the Russell 2000 futures markets. And in this video, I'm going to be focused on the futures markets because that's what I do. I trade futures markets. And this video is going to be for the week of 1/15. So we're coming off of a 3-day weekend. And I know everybody's anxious to get back at the screen. So I'm going to give you my market outlook for those futures markets. Now, something I want to point out, if you're new to futures markets and you're interested in learning more about these futures products, because there's also micros for these products, you can go to cmegroup.com to learn more about these futures products and all these different futures contracts available at CME. And also, if you're on TradingView and you're interested in futures, and you don't have a broker to connect to TradingView, you can see in the trading panel down below, you can click in your trading panel and you can click connect a broker. I have TradeStation connected to TradingView. TradeStation is one of my favorite brokers. I use them to trade futures right here on TradingView. You can go to tradestation.com/Anthony, and they'll actually give you 50% off brokerage fees for the lifetime of your account. That's tradestation.com/Anthony. Now, today I'm starting off with the E-mini S&P. That's the big daddy, the futures market that most of you are probably trading. And I'm going to show you what indicators I'm using. And I'm going to be using it the same for all of the futures markets I'm covering in today's show, which is also going to be Nasdaq and Russell. So I'm using Bollinger Bands. This is really my primary indicator that I use the most for my strategy. And I'm just double clicking on it to let you see what the inputs are. It's 20 period, 3 standard deviation. The source is OHLC4. And so that's what I have here. I don't have the middle Bollinger Band clicked on. I don't need it. I'm not using it. I'm just using the outer Bollinger Bands. And also something to give you a chance to go and get, it's free on TradingView, is just my beacon indicator. That's also something I'm using in today's video, and it's very important for my trading. It helps me understand market environment. It's a mean reversion indicator. I've done a ton of videos on this. You can learn more about that at anthonycrudele.com or just search the videos here on TradingView about my beacon indicator. And basically, a quick run over to what it is. It connects to the top peak and the bottom peak, so you can see how the peaks of the Bollinger Bands, it drew horizontal lines there. And then you have 70%, 50%, and 30%. You could just use a Fibonacci retracement tool to get those levels, and those levels boxed in are the levels that I'm looking at on my charts. You'll also see a 5-day moving average on here. So I'll click on this just so you can see it. 5-day simple moving average, OHLC4. And also the orange line that you're going to see here is going to be my year-to-date anchored VWAP. Now, this is a great indicator that TradingView offered starting last year. It's actually a relatively new indicator. It's in the system. So it's the VWAP AA auto anchor. And if you click here, I'm just showing you I anchor period for the year. You could anchor it to the highest high, all these different options if you want to anchor it to. But I just use for the year, and it's really important, especially in January, to look at where I think the markets could be headed. And it's going to be key in what I'm looking at for my market outlook this week. And, we're coming off of a 3-day weekend. Hopefully all of you are enjoying your 3-day weekend. A lot of exciting NFL games and more, as I'm even recording today on January 15th. We've got more NFL games, but let's get to the charts. When you look here on the daily chart, so you know the indicators I'm looking at, I'm going to widen it a little bit. So a couple things to note. First off, when I use my indicator beacon, majority of the time, the main thing I'm going to be looking for is a boxed in area. Anytime the Bollinger Bands make peaks, I look for those peaks to come inward. So the Bollinger Bands are coming inward, right? You can see that right there. They're starting to point in. And when they're pointing in, the beacon lines are going to be drawn. And I'm going to box out this area right now. And this area is the area we've been in the E-mini S&P the entire month of January. I mean, we did spend a little bit of time outside of it, but every single close has been within it. And so this area is my 30% to 50% area of the S&P. So it's a mean reversion looking tool. And what's interesting about what the market's doing right now versus the prior, not last week, but the first week of the year, is that we were below that auto-anchored VWAP, below the 5-day moving average. And as of last week, we stayed above the 5-day and the auto-anchored VWAP every single session. We held it twice on tests, 3 times on the 5-day, and here we are Monday night as we're opening up the markets. And it really gets interesting here because if we start to push above this box, and here's the key that I'm going to be looking for going into this week. So the key is, what will the Bollinger Bands do if we start to push higher? So I always look at the market in 3 environments. Market contraction is when Bollinger Bands are coming inward. Okay. So when you have Bollinger Bands coming inward, okay, you have mean reversion. When Bollinger Bands are going sideways, okay, sometimes you'll see them go sideways. That's just range bound, right? And so you have consolidation. And when Bollinger Bands start to point outward, right, like we're potentially looking at on the top Bollinger Band on the daily, here on the bottom, it's pretty flat. If it starts to move outward and they're expanding, that's range expansion. That's the way I look at the market in those 3 environments, right? So contraction, mean reversion, consolidation, or expansion. Right now, if the market were to start to move higher above 48.20, and you were to see this top Bollinger Band start to move higher, that would be range expansion. That would look for me to project that the market was going to start moving higher. So you might see bars or candles like that. However you look at the market, start to push up, and you can see us getting back into this primary trend higher. Now, if those Bollinger Bands are sideways, let me delete all of the marks I have on the chart right now. Drawings. If that starts to happen, let's just say these Bollinger Bands go sideways, right? Then what you could possibly see is a lot of sideways chopping and testing around that auto-anchored VWAP, which is going to be very key, because if it gets below there, we could be in a consolidation back down to the bottom Bollinger Band or to the bottom part of my range. So what these Bollinger Bands do is going to be very, very important. And so if they're flat, you're looking at consolidation. If we move higher and the Bollinger Bands start to move outward, we're looking at expansion. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for in the E-mini S&P. Above 5-day, above VWAP, Bollinger Bands outward, looking for a pretty decent rally. Above the VWAP, above the 5-day with sideways Bollinger Bands, probably sideways, and they just keep retesting the auto-anchored VWAP, maybe even getting below it, and we're just in consolidation. So that's the first thing I see at the E-mini S&P. And that's extremely important to know as a trader, even if you're a super short-term trader, because if the market environment is going to be sideways, then you are probably looking at trading both sides of the market. If it's range expansion, then maybe you're only looking long, or you're more aggressive on the long side. And so that's really important. And right now, I don't see mean reversion, because really we've already just had that mean reversion move, and we're just only the possibilities of consolidation or range expansion for what I see in the coming week. So that's the E-mini S&P. Now let's take it down to the NQ. The NQ is extremely important to watch because they have been the upside market leader. And let me remove everything I have up on here. I've got a decent amount going on. So let's just remove that. Go backwards. I'm going to remove the drawing. And so when we remove the drawings, we look at the E-mini Nasdaq, very similar to the E-mini S&P, is boxed out in my beacon levels. You can see here, I'm not going to draw a box, but it's pretty obvious. You can see it's between red and yellow. And look at the top Bollinger Bands. They came down, sideways, and looking to potentially try to go up, but they could just as easily go sideways. Look at the bottom. You see it coming up, and now we're starting to go sideways. Once again, 2 possible scenarios, right? We stay within, and maybe I will drop my box now. We stay in this boxed in area in the E-mini Nasdaq, which is basically 17,102 to roughly 16,533. We stay in that area, and the Bollinger Bands go sideways and they get flat. We're looking at consolidation. If the Bollinger Bands start to move outward and you start to see them pointing upward on the top, down on the bottom, you could have range expansion. And it goes back to, I'll use my drawing tool, and you can see potentially starting to push back up, right? Or if the Bollinger Bands are flat, like I said, you could see a lot of what we saw the last few sessions, and just sideways, keep going back, testing VWAP, testing 5-day moving average. Lastly, we're going to get to the Russell 2000. Last market we're looking at for this week. Let's get to the Russell 2000. Let me remove those drawings as well. Russell 2000 looks very different, right? Because it's below the 5-day moving average, it's below the anchored VWAP, but still nonetheless in a sideways consolidation. The key to watch for the Russell this week is a violation above 1987. If it gets above there, you could see this market move up. Unlikely for massive range expansion this week, even though the Bollinger Bands are starting to move outward. Okay. If we start to rally, I guess the rally could have potential legs. It wouldn't be something I would fade. I'd go with it. We get above 1987 on the Russell, we could keep going. Now, the flip side is what's different from the Nasdaq and the S&P, which could happen this week, is we have a downward week in the Russell, right? And we were to get down below my boxed out area. We're already below the VWAP in the 5-day. If we start to push down below there and these bottom Bollinger Bands are pointing outward, we can have range expansion to the downside, something you don't see potentially happening within the E-mini S&P or the E-mini Nasdaq. But it's something to watch because if we have divergence in the indexes, it could actually bring a choppy E-mini S&P if the Russell's going down and maybe the Nasdaq's sideways to up. So a lot to look for. My morning letter, I'll be talking about the markets every day, is free in my Discord. You can find that in the description down here on YouTube. And if you like today's video, please give me the thumbs up, that like button, and share it with other traders on social media. I'm Anthony Crudele at Anthony Crudele on Twitter, and also can check me out at anthonycrudele.com. Have a great trading week, everyone. See ya.